And welcome to the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. This is the show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by our Sports Information Director, Donnie Netto. And as always, we're going to feature a particular sport here on the Cardinals Nest. This week, it is cross country. And normally, we have the head coach on first. Ben Borash is not the head coach. He's one of the junior runners on the program. But what we decided to do this week, since it's cross country, is have them run from the St. Mary's campus to downtown Winona to where the HBC studios are located.
Coach Anderson,
whoever gets here first gets to be on the show first. And Niels Anderson, the head coach, well, he's still trickling in somewhere in Winona. But Ben, you made it down here, and you look no worse for the wear.
Actually, that's a little embarrassing for Niels because I've been on crutches for the last week.
Right. So there you go. But Donnie, it'll be great to have Ben on and Niels a little bit later to talk some cross country.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun. And Ben, welcome. I had mentioned off camera, your brother has been on the show when he was running here, and now we get the younger Borash on. Talk a little bit about growing up in Bolus, Minnesota, how you got into running, and how you eventually made it to St. Mary's.
All right, yeah. I'm actually the sixth child in my family of 8 children, and all of us are in cross country. So it was kind of a natural progression. Actually, 2 of my older brothers have come here, and both of them ran cross country at some point. So it was, I don't know, it was always like kind of that competitive spirit I had, just like competing with your brothers.
Mm-hmm. And then you're an environmental biology major at St. Mary's. You're a junior, so tell us what you like about that program and what you hope to do in the future with that.
I think the greatest thing about being at St. Mary's with environmental biology is the bluffs. We have great spaces. The new science building is great as well. And it's really nice just to be able to know the professors really well, and small class sizes make it great.
Talk a little bit about your summer, because I know you had a really interesting internship this summer, and if you could just kind of tell people what you did and your experience, because I was extremely interested in it.
Yeah, this summer I was studying bats all over southeastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. I would go out at night in a van, and I had a microphone on top, and I'd record the sounds they send out to catch bugs. And based just off that, you can identify what species they are. So that's what I was doing all summer. Every night I'd go out half hour after sunset.
So are you hoping to be a bat expert someday, or maybe not quite?
I don't know about bats, but something like that would be a lot of fun. I'm looking at an internship out in Idaho this summer doing similar research with hawks instead.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now Ben, I do see you a lot on campus. I think you're involved in a lot of different things. What else are you doing when you're not doing the academic stuff? Because you were in 2017 an all-conference academic performer. So what else are you doing besides just studying and running cross-country?
I'm very involved on campus when I can be. I'm an FCA, I'm one of the leaders. I'm also an RA on campus, so I'm living in a freshman dorm. Besides that, I like to be involved with like ballroom dance. It's a lot of fun. I just started that last year. Otherwise, outdoor leadership.
Yeah. Well, ballroom dance keeps you light on your feet.
It
Got to
does,
help you with cross country a little bit.
Talk about a little bit of the challenges of being an RA. Like you said, you're living in a freshman dorm as a junior. That in itself is probably a little bit of a challenge. But what are some of the challenges of being an RA? Because that's a very important responsibility for our students on campus.
Mm-hmm. It means some late nights. And since I've got early morning lifts and stuff, it can get a little tough that way. But at the same time, I don't know, it's really cool to interact with the students in a different way like that. Especially being with freshmen, just seeing how excited they are to be at college for the first time, kind of living on their own, helping them figure that out. It's something I really enjoy.
So Ben, let's talk some cross-country running now. As you mentioned, you're dealing with a little bit of an injury, and it's been a slow start for the team just because of weather related cancellations, and so you really just had your first meet of the season recently here. So tell us what you're seeing from the team and how you're recovering from your injury and when you hope to get back out there.
We've got a really small team this year, so injuries are something we definitely want to avoid. Luckily, my injury was pretty short. I should be able to run in another week or so. So that's not too bad. But the team is doing really well this year. We've got a solid group, especially on the men's side. I'm excited about what we can do. The women's side is very good as well. They're pretty young, but I'm excited to see what happens going.
You know, you look at cross country, and everybody just thinks about the running, but it's important to have meets. It's important to compete against other people. Having that first meet canceled, and then having to run in the temperatures that you did at Augsburg, it really has been a tough start for the cross country, and just in terms of trying to get ready for the conference championships, because the competitions you've had, well, the one is in conditions that were in the 90s with humidity in the 70s, which is not ideal running conditions.
Yeah, yeah. Like you said, our first one was canceled, which was, I mean, it wasn't a full-length race anyways, but still it's nice to kind of get the rust off. And then yeah, the last race it was so hot. Even the guys who won, they were going 3 minutes slower than they normally would. So it definitely takes a toll on a person.
Now Marlon is the lone senior on the roster. You're the lone junior on the roster. Yeah. So have you two sort of taken up that leadership role? Have you talked about that, and how do you see that role this year?
Yeah. We're a very close-knit team, so it's kind of, I don't know, I don't think either of us feels like the leadership is all on one of us. It's kind of, it's almost like a family, really, and we all work together to get things done.
How important is the preseason? I always find it interesting what you guys do in the preseason. You go away, you actually go to a campground and camp and get your training in. Talk a little bit about the importance of that time that you have together, because there are a lot of younger people on the team, and it's got to give you a chance to really kind of bond as a team.
Yeah, I remember my freshman year at camp. I'd like that first day is always a little awkward because you don't really know the people, but then like it kind of gets to the point where you're almost sick of people by the end of the camp. But it's like it's a good thing because you meet people on a different level that way.
Tell us about running the course at St. Mary's. I mean, I think it's got to be one of the most challenging courses in the state, certainly in the area at the very least. So how do you approach it from both a mental and physical standpoint?
Mm-hmm. I think, and Coach Niels will agree with me on this, that we have one of the best places in the state, if not the Midwest, to train for cross country. The hills are a big deal in cross country, so I look at it as like we have the advantage in that way because we have all the bluffs, the trails, the hills to run in all the time.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, Niels, this is his first year as the head cross-country coach. Prior to that, he was also the head track and field coach, which he still remains that. So what's it been like to have Niels now heading up the cross-country program? What's he like as a coach?
Oh, I love having Niels as a coach. Especially like he's great at talking to people, so recruiting, it's a great thing. And also just like it's a whole different feeling on the team. I loved our last coach, but so it's just it's different, but it's good.
And then talk about training too, because how have you trained for that first race that you had, knowing that the first race was canceled, and now how will you train coming off the injury and seeing how you've got the rest of the meet spread out? How is your training going to differ as the season goes along here?
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, I was coming off a pretty good summer of running, so we were going pretty hard, and that's probably what led to the injury. But so now, since I've been off my leg for a while, I've been in the pool and on the bike lately. I haven't run at all. So it'll be slow working back into it, but we'll build up, and hopefully I think we can still make some big improvements.
Can you walk us through a week, say a week, you're healthy, a week of training, because it isn't like you just go out and you just run 10 miles and you're done running. I mean, you may have some of those training runs, but talk a little bit about how you prepare this week. You've got a meet coming up. It's Monday. How do you prepare, or how do you train for the meet on Saturday?
So we normally have about 2 hard workouts a week, generally on Monday and Wednesday, and that can be intervals. Like yesterday, they actually did 1K repeats, and then on like Tuesday, Thursday, it's generally more of a recovery run. So it's just something easy, like 5-mile run or something. Just
something easy.
Time out. Will you rephrase that, please? Because easy and 5 miles is not the same thing.
I don't know. Like, if once you're used to it, just going out for a 5-mile run really isn't that bad. Like our race is 5 miles long, so it should be easy to just run that far if you're competing that length.
So, all right, just a few seconds left here, Don. Get the last question.
Yeah, I do. Well, I've got two for you, and I do know that one of them. I do know that you're a Vikings fan. So
That I am.
1-1-1 after the first 3 weeks. After the debacle of the Buffalo Bills, what's your reaction to where the Vikings are at?
I mean, I feel like every year we have a couple games that we just drop, so I'm kind of looking at it like that. I think we can still come back from this. I'm excited to see what happens this
Favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Talk to me a little
absolutely.
bit about why that's your favorite movie, because I love that movie. I think
Yeah.
that Kurt Russell is awesome. I think Sam Elliott is phenomenal. What is it about the movie Tombstone that you like?
Well, first of all, like I live on a farm and we have horses, so I love riding horse. And I've always loved westerns, and there's just something about this story. Like maybe it's something the fact that like his brothers working together too, because I'm really close with my brothers, and I think I don't know, it speaks to me.
Nice. Well, Ben, thanks for being on the show. Ben Borash, our junior cross-country runner who beat Niels down here in the race, our head coach, and so he got to go first. So thanks for being on the program. Good luck here the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, well, Niels did make it in. Now, he is at the studio, so we'll have him on the program next here on HBC.
Elevate your HBC TV experience with the latest technology to hit your whole home entertainment system. Record up to 6 programs simultaneously and save up to 350 hours of your favorite shows. Pause a program you're watching in one room and pick right up where you left off in another. Video on demand, wireless set-top boxes and mobile device streaming, apps including Alexa, Netflix, YouTube, and more. Call 888-474-9995 to learn more or visit hbci.com/elevate today.
Be sure to check out US Golf TV, where you are going to see golf products that you have never seen before. You're also going to see golf tips from some of the leading instructors around the country that are truly changing the way people are teaching the game and challenging the status quo. Also, you're going to see fitness tips that are revolutionizing the way PGA Tour pros are training their body and swinging the golf club. If you want something different, if you're looking for some new information, US Golf TV has it. Be sure to check your local listings. US Golf TV, we've got you covered.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest on HBC. We're focusing on cross country this week, and we have our head coach, Niels Anderson, on the program. And Niels, what Donnie and I haven't told you yet is that, you know, we mentioned in the first segment that we had Ben on first, Ben Borash, and we said he was on first because we had you two race down from campus to the HBC studio, and whoever got here first got to go on the program first. So I said you just trickled in now. So.
Right, me racing against Ben just isn't going to be a good story for me.
Stop the curb and coffee first. And
right.
But I knew you'd appreciate it.
Yeah, of course,
Now, so Niels, we've had you on the program before, but in a very different capacity as the track and field head coach, which you remain that, of course, but now you've also taken on an additional duty as head coach for the cross-country team. So kind of tell us about this new role for you.
Well, so obviously Ward Barent had been at St. Mary's for, I think, 13 years. And so that was a long time, and he was ready to move on to a new challenge, I believe, and very appreciative of all he has done for the program in the years past. And you know, when he left, it kind of opened up that window to kind of say, I can maybe take the umbrella over both programs because they are so linked to one another. Cross-country runners almost without fail go into track. And so it made sense to get involved that way. It's busy for me, but thankfully we've got another coach on board. Nick Larson joined the staff, and he has been really tremendous. He'll be with those with those distance runners all year, and then once cross country's over, I'll transition over to the sprinters and jumpers, and then we'll probably talk about that later in another session.
Right. Well, tell us a little bit about Nick. What's his background, and how do you utilize him?
Well, Nick is very, very important to the program right now. So he really is the day-to-day guy for the program. That means he's designing and implementing the training workouts. We talk about it, we go over it together, but really he gets to be the one that's in the communication side of it with the athletes. He comes from, he was a high school and middle school social studies teacher, but then he spent the last 3 years as a volunteer assistant coach at the University of Minnesota. And so he really was given a lot of latitude there as well to be as much and as involved in the program as he could be, and he was very involved. He's very organized, which, if anybody knows me, I need. So yeah, as soon as I say the word, Donnie starts laughing. And so he's really tremendous. He keeps track of every split that they run every single day. He has all the charts and the graphs and all of that stuff. So he's really been a great addition to us as well.
Have you found it a bit of a learning experience for you? I mean, obviously, coaching track, it's a running event, but now, you know, cross country is a little bit different. I know you helped Ward out in the past. What kind of an adjustment has it been for you personally in terms of how much you've had to learn about the cross country sport?
Thankfully, I grew up in the sport. I was always a distance runner, and really my coaching days, even I was always an assistant cross country coach. So I have cross country in my blood, in my background. So the actual training of the athletes I've obviously studied, and whenever I go to clinics, I always catch a distance clinic just to keep fresh and updated and all of that. You know, there's plenty of changes from when I was running to nowadays, just even, and I'm sure we'll talk about the schedule here shortly, but when I was running back then, we ran every Saturday. There was, you know, we just kind of ground out the season, and now it's much physiologically much smarter to work your way every other week, get in 2 weeks of training. There's a whole lot of science behind all of that, but basically those are some just little adjustments I've had to make. But you know, cross country kids are the same forever and always. You just spoke with Ben Borash, and he is just a reflection of what our whole team is like. Great people, great students. You know, they'll work hard, they'll never complain. That hasn't changed since I've been around.
You know, it's been such an odd season for cross country this year. We were talking to Ben about it. First meet gets canceled because of rain and poor conditions. And then you finally get a meet in and you're running in 90-degree heat with 70% humidity. Right. So really, this Friday at Eau Claire is kind of like the first chance you really get to see what you guys have, because those first two meets, one you didn't run, and the second you really can't use in terms of what happened, because they were probably just happy just to be able to finish it.
Oh,
Talk
absolutely.
a little bit about what's happened so far and what you're looking for moving forward.
Yeah, I caught a lot of flack from some of my friends for canceling a cross country meet. Trust me. But really, the course at that time, we couldn't get out on the trails. It was a big muddy marsh, and I think it would have put our athletes at risk. And so that was really difficult. And then again, just like you said, someone told me, I haven't done this exact research, but that race that we ran, 80 people dropped out of it.
Wow.
If you can imagine, it was just, I think it was close to not even having been, put into competition. So really, just like you said, Donnie, this weekend really is our first test. The times haven't, we can't even use that time from that first meet. And the way cross country works, they'll use your head-to-head competition against other schools throughout the the season to determine the regional rankings and things like that. So really, this weekend is the beginning of all of that. If you know your football, they kind of wait till week 9 before they determine who's the top teams and things like that. It's the same thing in cross country. They wait till about halfway through the season. Then they say, now we think you're racing at full strength. We think you're racing your top runners at these big meets. So we really get to see where we are in the midst of our region and against the other region right across the river. So yeah, this is we're kind of in our training cycle. We're putting ourselves in a position to race this one full tilt, all out, guns a-blazing.
Yeah, it looks like this weekend should be normal fall weather for
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Maybe
beautiful.
A little colder than normal.
Right, but we'll take it.
Yeah,
we're
take
happy.
it.
And
now,
a huge meet.
Yeah,
this
right.
is a huge meet.
Yeah, so how big is the Eau Claire
27
meet?
teams. Again, it is our region, which is the Central region and the Midwest region. So you've got all the WIAC schools, the MIAC, the UMAC, some IAC, which is no longer the IAC, but all these schools from all these areas that make this kind of the premier race of the week in the nation. And we get to see where we fit in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, talk about the men's team here.
Yeah.
So just one senior, one junior. We had Ben on the program, a lot of sophomores,
Yep.
and then one freshman. So maybe it's a small roster size, but who has really impressed you so far early on here in
Right.
the season?
Yeah. Well, because we're small, we're having to be pretty careful. I don't know what Ben talked about, but he had something that we were a little cautious about, so that's changed a little bit of how we're doing our training. But obviously we've got Ben Borash, who you met, and then our top 5 are going to be Jordan Malachowski, Tanner Morris, John Meaden, and Isaiah Olsem, who led the race for us at our Augsburg meets, and he's really been, if I had to say one guy looks to maybe separate himself from that group of 5, because we have a really strong pack. Right now, he looks like in workouts and then obviously in the meet, he looks to be probably our #1 runner until someone unseats that. So he's really put in a great summer of training. The mileage went way up. Every workout, he's just a little bit in front of each guy. So you do that over the course of a race, and that adds up to being our #1.
And then on the women's side, a little bigger roster size, and a couple of seniors there with Erica and Emily.
Yeah, obviously they are you want to have seniors on your team, and it's tough when you don't have many, but really they're showing great leadership. And Danielle Frankie is our #1 runner, and she's a junior, and so the 3 of those people are really kind of the core of our leadership. Danielle's really, I anticipate with good weather, you should see that she's making a really big leap from where she was a year ago. That's what's great about our sport, is if you can stay injury-free for a continued amount of training periods, you can see those vast improvements. And I would think that she'll make maybe one of the biggest moves in the MBC for the whole, or the MIAC, I should say. That was a slip. But anyway, back in the MIAC, I think she'll make one of the biggest drops in time, biggest moves as far as places, as being a place winner and being a very solid #1.
Sure. Donnie, time for one more question.
Yeah, just as you head forward, again, you really haven't had a lot to weigh on, but MIC's coming up and not that far away. What do you expect from the Cardinals at the conference championships? Yeah,
so we, on both genders, we see that the MIAC is kind of cut in half. You've got the haves and the other people. And so we're just right on that outside of that first half. So I don't see us breaking into that. The MIAC in cross country, and I'm sure you'll have lots of coaches that say this about their sport, but honestly, the MIAC is one of the top 2 or 3 conferences in the nation, year in and year out, in the sport. So if you ever get into that top half, you know that you have a really good team, and you even have an outside chance, even if you're in the top half, of making it to the national championships as a team. That's how difficult our region is, especially with the MIAC schools, and then the Iowa schools as well. So, we think we're not quite there yet, to be honest, but that's what all the hard training is for. Sure. And we want to, this feels like a step in the right direction. We feel like we have the right people as far as personalities and their commitment to the program. And so if we can maintain that energy level and then keep bringing in great people just like the ones we have, we feel like we can take the step to the next, that top half of the MIAC.
Good. All right, Niels Anderson, head coach.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the program today. Good luck here the rest of the year and in the conference championships.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Donnie and I will be back to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC.
In the beginning, there was dial-up. Slow as syrup dial-up. When 3 megabits arrived, it felt like riding a cyclone with your hands in the air. Until 100 megabits sent you surfing with glee on a cavernous pipeline of bits and bytes. Which brings us to 1 gig. That's 1,000 megabits per second from HBC. We're about to break the internet speed barrier. Your home deserves the fastest internet. Get gigabit internet today from HBC. Internet redefined.
Describe the best thing you ever ate.
It's good.
Woo! Dynamite. Yes.
Hashtag worth it.
Ridiculous. OMG, OMG.
Whoa.
Wham.
What?
That's what I'm talking about.
Boom. All new, the best thing I ever ate. Thursday at 9.
You're gonna need sweatpants.
Cooking Channel. Stay hungry.
Schultz Strategic Gunworks, Sugarloaf Ford, and Brewski's Bar and Grill in Utica would like to remind you to make safe choices when getting behind the wheel of a vehicle.
Driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs is the #1 cause of teen deaths. Distracted driving increases your chances to have a traffic accident. Cell phones and passengers are both distractions to a teen driver. Drowsiness impairs driving performance and reaction time, thereby increasing the likelihood of having a car accident.
And we're back here to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman and Donnie Netto. And Donnie, the volleyball team for the Cardinals, big conference win. They're kind of in the heart of conference play right now, and they knocked off St. Kate's.
Yeah, it was a really good win for the Cardinals. They needed that one. They've been playing some solid matches, but hadn't been able to get over the hump. And last Saturday, they took care of St. Kate's 3-1. It was one of those matches. Every set went 25-23, 25-22, so it was a match that could have gone either way. It was good to see the Cardinals fight through it and get that 3-1 win. Brandy Blattner certainly is continuing to be one of the amazing student athletes that we have at St. Mary's. She right now is 4 kills away from 1,000 for her career, so hopefully this weekend at St. Ben's she'll take care of that, and that will help propel the Cardinals against 2 very tough opponents this weekend. They've got St. Benedict on Friday night, and then they head to Moorhead and play Concordia the following afternoon. So 2 big matches for them. Nice for them to come off of a good win, get a week of practice, and then head to a weekend of road matches against 2 very good conference opponents.
Yeah, and you know, the thing too is they're getting a lot of playing time from some of their freshmen, this DJ Bay and also Grace Gillis seeing some action
both have done a really good job. DJ Babb from Wabasha has really done a really nice job as the starting libero, and Grace Gillis has come on. Grace leads us in service aces, which is amazing for a freshman. And you know, Coach Keeker needs solid play from some of the younger people too. You can't just rely on, you know, your heavy hitters. You need you know, as they always say, you've got to be able to pass the ball before you can attack it. So they need those liberos and those defensive specialists to do their job in order for Brandy and Brittany Flom and Gloria Katangi, for those type of players to get the job done. Those liberos and DSs have got to do theirs as well.
For sure. Let's transition to golf, because the golfers have really looked good here early in the season.
Yeah, the men's golf team is really doing well. I'm excited to see what happens. They've got 2 big meets left. They play at St. John's this weekend up in the St. Cloud area, and then they go on to the MIC Championships the following week. And they're playing some good golf this weekend at St. John's. They're going to face just about everybody that they'll face in the MIC Championship, so it'll be nice to kind of see where they're sitting in terms of the conference chase. Outstanding performances. Kyle Brote's been playing very well. Joe Abdul, those 2 led the way last weekend for the Cardinals at the St. Mary's Invitational, and I'm thinking that those 2 are going to continue to do that. Bryce Gillespie and Tyler Dove are playing very well. Juan Sanchez is doing a nice job. So if we can get all 5 of them playing solid golf at the same time this weekend, get some, you know, if we can get 5 golfers with 2 rounds each in the 70s, that'll be very encouraging heading into the conference championships in 2 weeks.
And real quick, Donnie, what does soccer have coming up this week?
Soccer, both of them are in action this week against Bethel, Tuesday night for the men, and then Wednesday night for the women at Bethel. And then this weekend, the women have St. Kate's here at St. Mary's, 1 o'clock game on Saturday, and then the men are up at Superior on Sunday for a non-conference game. So conference and non for the men, but the women have got 2 important conference games, and then back in conference play next week.
Now, Donnie, by the time we have next week's show, your new boss will have started.
Yeah, Brian Sisson is coming on board,
yeah.
So it'll be fun to have him on. Starts Monday, and that'll be exciting to get him on board and get running. We're all excited to see what he brings to St. Mary's, and hopefully he enjoys his time here.
You're gonna have to start working hard again.
I know, darn it.
But no, and we'll be sure to get Brian on the program too, because he's got a lot of experience at really different levels, and so we'll get him on the program and make sure you get introduced to our new athletic director, Brian Sisson. That's going to do it for this week's Cardinals Nest. We're glad that you could watch here on HBC TV 25. Tune in again next week for another Cardinals Nest.